Just quick session. We had just taken a vote to seal our non-public meeting minutes from our two non-public sessions at the beginning of the meeting that began at 5:30. We had appointments at 5:30 and 6 o'clock. So first thing on our agenda is we don't have any other formal appointments for public session. So public comment number one. Anyone? All right, thank you. No public comment. Committee liaison reports. Lori, start with you. It's okay to not have anything.
I don't have anything.
Okay.
But I reserve the right to come back once I think about it.
Okay.
All right, okay.
I don't have any updates either.
Neither do I, actually. Nothing happened last week.
I'll just bring one thing to the board's attention just so that you're aware of it. And this relates to the museum building and the work that's going to be done on the Grace Daly barn. The container out there that has been donated to the town has a hard and fast, and I don't know what it is, but a hard and fast date that it has to be removed to go back to where it came from. And if we're not done with the barn work in time, then the stuff that's in the container is going to have to get moved again to some other interim spot if the barn isn't ready for it. So just, and I mean, I know Phil is aware of this, but just so that you are all aware of it.
Do you know that date?
I don't.
Okay.
But anyway, I say that only because the materials for lifting the barn are here now. The new timbers that were custom cut are here now. They're all stored over there. But as you can see, the actual work on the, the earthwork around the barn and the straightening out and the lifting of it and so forth has not begun yet. So just...
It won't right now either.
Well, it won't right now. I mean, obviously there have been other things going on. We just had a major snowstorm. There are things, and because we're trying to do it with our own staff for the most part, trying to save some money, it's being fit in the schedule, and I think Phil had anticipated that the work would have been a little further along by now. But he still is planning it, and I have no doubt it'll get done. I just wanted to make sure you're aware that if for some reason we get deeper into the winter and all of a sudden we reach say April timeframe, whatever the date is, and the container needs to go back, then we're going to have to find places for that stuff to go before the barn is ready. So it's just an FYI, that's all. And that's it.
Okay.
Were you going to mention the design review from Planning Board recently, just so folks are aware?
Oh,
for the seminary?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I guess I could mention that.
I watched the meeting online.
Yeah, so we did have a preliminary design review for the first, kind of the preliminary review for plans for the old seminary building and the condo units that would be going in there. They're going to be condominiumized, I believe,
At the seminary property?
Well, in the seminary building and then in the new building that will replace the old science building, those will be one-bedroom studios and possibly some two-bedroom apartments. They're all rentals.
Correct. But the ones in the seminary would be
Condos.
No.
Oh, I thought for some reason I thought those would
I didn't
be.
think you was having any condos.
No.
But then there are a couple single-family homes on the perimeter.
The property is going to be in a condominium ownership because there will be 4 or 5 single-family homes. Because of the single-family homes, there won't be a subdivision of the land, but it will be a condominium association, and there will be covenants and documents to go along with that. Yeah. So there will be single-family homes. They won't, but everything else will be, everything in the science building and in the seminary building will be rental units. Yeah.
But so we haven't received a formal submission of plan. This was just preliminary design review to get some input from the town on any, glaring issues that they may want to look at before they get into fully engineering. And really it was also to help them get the clock started to make sure that, you know, there was a lot of concern in the community that that project may not go forward. And let's face it, both Newton and Kingston voted through the SAU to the sale of that property to encourage a project that would revitalize and maintain the seminary building, as well as providing an opportunity for a builder that, let's face it, they're in the business of making money. They need to do a project that's fiscally responsible to their business, but we wanted to make sure the seminary was protected as well. And I think, you know, preliminary seeing what they're seeing, this would accomplish that. And it had a really nice feel to the campus, almost a campus type feel that they were setting forward there. So that was nice to see. And yeah, there'll be a lot more coming forward, you know, there's going to be a lot more review. They were currently in negotiations. Their biggest uptick is they had underestimated septic load requirements when they initially purchased the property from the SAU, so they're working through provisions of they may have to have part of the well may have to be off-site to bring the water in to meet all the setbacks of the wellhead requirements and the aquifer. So that they are in constant negotiations for that. They did thank the town for working with them to get the demolition grant to get that going. And that's going to be part of, you know, how they would demolish the rest of the other old science building.
Right, and that demolition permit, or that demolition funding, if you will, has a clock on it which is ticking, and that's
this year
kind
has to be expended.
That's kind of driving this as well.
Yep. So it was really nice to see a project, because the last thing you want is that seminary to sit in disrepair till it gets to the point where they have no choice but to do something drastic with it. And
right.
The goal is to preserve that. So
they had been to the Historic District Commission several times to come up with something that they thought the HDC would bless. And it was that final, sort of the culmination of those meetings that they brought to the planning board. Yep. And
yeah, even design elements of the large apartment building they took from design elements from the old Concord Hall that used to be present on there, and then they actually took some of the design elements of the old, what was it, was it considered like the Dean's house, when they were constructing the single family homes and the way they designed it.
Yep. Anyway, so they still need to go before, they need a certificate of approval from the Historic District Commission, and then they will need site plan approval from Planning Board. So they still have a long way to go, but I mean, they've done a lot of work and they've finally got the pieces in place, and they're moving forward. So so it's good.
Ellie? Nothing. Okay. All right, we'll move on to old business. We have the solar on the landfill, the option agreement to sign. So we have that here. All the language has been reviewed and approved by both attorneys. So we had already moved to approve this contract. So I've gone ahead and signed that to move forward. Susan, next we have the RFP for installation of the point of entry systems. Just update on status. I know you and Glenn had a meeting with Verdantis.
We did. We had a call with them. It's going to be a little bit of time. You know, we all were anxious. It sounded like, correct me if I'm wrong, Glenn, but it was for them to complete the RFP, it would be sometime in January, we hope, by the end of January. Then it has to be vetted by DES. They hoped that we could get it out for bids sometime in February, and we'd be looking at springtime installation.
Did they say what the delay is or why it's taking so long to do the RFP?
They didn't. I think they've just been absorbing everything I gave to them.
Right. And they are a large company, but they are a busy company, and we're dropping this on them and asking them to work as fast as they can. And I think we got it moved up a little bit based on our conversation with them. So it's going to happen a little sooner than they were anticipating, but we made sure that they knew that we needed to get this going. So it kind of is what it is, unfortunately, in many respects. But on the plus side, though, I think that I felt pretty good about the conversation we had with them. I think that they're well qualified to do this work for us, and that we'll get a product that that DES will be happy with, and we shouldn't have to go through many steps before we can get this out and moving. So assuming it all goes as Susan laid it out, the installation of the systems, and this, of course, is going to depend on whoever the chosen contractor is to do the work and their availability to get the equipment to do it. I mean, if there are supply chain issues, you know, that could be a hiccup, so we don't know what's going to happen. But if everything went pretty well, sort of between June and the fall would be the time frame for the installations. So.
All right, did we get any pricing for a website upgrade?
I did not, I had
Okay.
We'll get a definitive answer. I had the estimate to at least budget with, but I don't have anything hard and fast for you yet.
So we can just table that until January 22nd. We have the updated website policy to sign off on in the orange folder if anyone has seen it yet. Does anyone have any questions, concerns with that? I know we had updated, kind of making sure we understand who needs what authority to post on the town's behalf and make sure that nobody's just doing whatever they want on there. So no issues with that. We can sign off on that. Why don't we just make a motion to accept that?
The other one in there too is the human services one is in there as well.
Okay.
The welfare guidelines was in that folder, and I don't think it's listed on the agenda.
We can take a vote on both of those.
You want to do them together?
Yeah, we can do them together. If I know we've had a couple different revisions. I think everything looks good in them.
All right, I'll make a motion that we sign off on the final versions of both the human services and the website procedures.
Yep.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Under new business, we did have a wetlands violation complaint, which Glenn did follow up with. We received information that there was a bulldozer out behind a residence. Looks like they had been doing some work out there in what would have constituted the wetland buffer. So Glenn did an opportunity, just pulled the file to make sure that, ensure that there were no wetland permits that may have been pulled, and he filled out the initial alleged violation, and he has sent that up to DES, and they have confirmed receipt of it. They do not want to talk to you on the phone anymore because they are so backlogged. They want you to submit everything through the portal. So I don't know when we will anticipate a follow-up or a phone call with that, but we have taken the steps that we can at this point until we get them to come down and conduct a review. It looks like the majority of the work has probably already been completed in that area if you just drive by.
Yeah, it appears so, and this was an issue that was brought to our attention by the Conservation Commission. So I did a drive-by of the property, and it looked as Chris described it, and then the process for requesting New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services to take a look at it is, as Chris said, to fill out the form, so that's what I did. And it was actually, I mean, the portal was pretty easy. I mean, and they asked for certain attachments, and so we did that, the tax card, a photograph, which we had, a tax map, stuff like that. So it was pretty easy to do, so we'll see what happens.
Okay. The next item that we have is review of proposed warrant articles. We have an updated copy in our packet. Are just the items in red the update since the last time? I just saw there was some actual figures put in.
I think I had, there were some that were the tax impact that maybe I wasn't sure of on, like the budget. I don't think I put the final in there maybe.
Okay, so I mean, just, so the first 25 articles, 26 articles are planning board and zoning articles. I will say, yeah, we're missing 28.
Okay, yeah, that's just because I inserted something today. I must have not followed up with all the numbers. I'll fix that.
So, and this is for, so all these will be also discussed this weekend? Anything,
Correct, Saturday.
yes, on Saturday with the budget committee. Not the zoning articles. This will be anything that has a cost associated with it. So that would be, there's ask in there again for the appropriation of Highway Department Equipment Capital Reserve Fund. There's stuff in there regarding the, authorizing the 1.5% discount for the tax collection, as well as the total amount of the budget that was moved forward from last decision meeting. We have the land use administrative assistant position, changing from part-time to full-time with benefits. We have that in there as well. And then we also have the part-time building department administrative assistant position recommendation in there to have the folks take a look at. And then we also have what we talked about with the exemption changes that we wanted to move forward. And so like I said, all these will be discussed at decision meeting this weekend, and then there'll be another opportunity at the town deliberative session to discuss or make changes to any of these articles that can legally be changed at the deliberative session.
Now, usually you would review the entire warrant and then just vote on the ones, or the budget committee would only want to vote on the ones that involve money, right?
Correct.
There's some that are a little gray area to me.
Yep. It is. They did I know Glenn Greenwood did a great job of doing the condensed version of the zoning articles, because we were at almost 30 pages of just zoning articles if we did not do the condensed versions. But we will make sure that full language is posted on the town website prior to the elections, as well as having copies posted at the polls if people want to review any of that full language at the polls. Yeah. And
Fix the numbering, take all the red out.
Yeah, we would want to probably put some over at the library too.
yeah. So if there's no other specific questions regarding any of those, they're gonna get, sure.
Stacy Dion, Budget Committee. I sent the draft ones out to the Budget Committee, and any of the ones that we're looking to get a breakdown of, particularly the ones that are adding new employees, so the full-time, so the number is fully loaded, but is it possible to get breakdowns of the numbers?
You mean how much is salary, how much is benefits?
Salary, benefits, health insurance, what is going into that?
Yeah, and one of the things that's important about when you budget those positions, you have to calculate what it could fully be. So,
Correct. Yep.
You have to incorporate the most expensive health insurance plan for a family, but what they could take.
Yep. And then on some of these that have a reduction in taxes, do we have the projected revenue loss that would be if these were approved?
Which one do you refer?
Yeah.
Oh, the exemptions?
The exemptions.
We don't, because anyone that may be eligible would have to apply for it.
Yep, but I didn't know if we had,
How would you know?
I know we don't know, but is there any, I'm just going with questions that are coming up.
We just recognize that our elderly and disability exemptions are
Yep.
far below other communities, and it's pricing something below.
Yeah,
I mean, we would have to someone would have to sit and do demographics and it's not reasonable.
We don't know people's assets.
Sure.
and I know, I'm just
You're
asking.
just asking the question.
I'm asking a question because when we're looking at this from a budget perspective,
Right.
there is a potential of reducing revenue, and is it, right,
Sure.
correct,
No matter what.
yep,
Exceptions or not.
right. And I understand that, I'm here asking the questions. Yeah, or project it, yeah.
There's no way.
I wouldn't even feel comfortable trying to give an estimate on, yeah.
I'm
Swag it.
don't know
Swag
what
it.
people's assets are, and
Right.
unless they're willing to disclose it, you have no.
No, I know, but it's
I mean, I
something-
don't even know, does town tax cards doesn't even track somebody's age that would be eligible?
No, I know. I'm just, you know, when you're increasing these, you're looking at reduced revenue,
Yep.
and part of what budget committee is looking at is what revenue is available, and we're gonna discuss that on Saturday, so I was just,
But I think we'll make it very clear to the budget committee on Saturday, we will not be able to know the impact on revenue because we will not be able to determine asset eligibility for anyone.
until somebody fills out that.
That's right.
Right, but,
I mean, the same holds true for the veterans credits. and
Yeah, all
that.
of
We
them.
have no idea, so that's an ask that we can't answer.
no, I just, you know, some people are gonna ask the question.
That's all right.
Yep, and just, yep. I think that's it. And then I have some, I'll ask Paula for the breakdowns and, the full amounts in all of the reserve, what the current balance is in the reserve accounts for, the warrant articles that are.
Yeah. All right, I look forward to another exciting Saturday.
Sure, we'll be glad. Thank you.
Public comment number 2. Ah, there he is.
Just on the Chinburg Builders thing, that, I hope the planning board really doesn't make them come back any more times than they have to. That's such a great opportunity for Kingston. Back when Ellie was on the board, she tried to move that forward to, I mean, that building's not getting any newer, so.
It's not getting any younger.
Right, exactly, so I just hope, I'm sure the planning board will, but I know they say this is gonna be a long process, but I just hope it's not too long.
The length of the process is dependent on the completeness of the plans that are presented.
Right.
I can tell you that we have gotten much more streamlined in providing feedback even prior, like from the town engineer and the town planner, prior to them arriving at the meeting, and I think that has been very helpful, and Glenn can attest to that.
Great.
I think it helps answer a lot of questions, and, because, trust me, I'm so glad when we put a time limit on meetings, because when we used to go to 11:30 and midnight, like, fairly regularly, it was exhausting for everyone. So, yeah, as long as they come in with complete plans, and that's why it was important for them to do that preliminary design review, to get an idea of, hey, what are our obstacles we should be looking out for, so that we can hopefully address them before a complete plan is put through.
Okay, it's just a great opportunity for the town, that's what.
I'm gonna go to that ribbon cutting with bells on.
Can I do my go back now for liaison reports?
Sure.
Okay. I remembered. We had a kickoff for the fairgrounds study group. Right, that was last week, and there were 6 or 7 of us there, and we started just talking about possible uses for that. So we're all gonna do a walkthrough of it so we can see the land that we're talking about, and then provide our suggestions with pros and cons of using that land as opposed to like the plains. And then, you know, as time goes on, I think we have 6 months or something, we'll present something to the select board on what we're recommending, but.
Correspondence, applications, purchase orders, state permit, northeast vegetation and mosquito control for a sign. It's in the orange folder. I didn't see any issues with that. We also have a facilities use permission, continued contra dance events in the town hall. I don't think anyone has had any opposition to that, and there's been no issues from that rowdy crowd.
Yeah, it's a rowdy crowd. The way it had been done in the past is that I, as the organizer of them, would submit a request to the select board for 6 months at a time, so that we weren't going too far out with it, and That way the select board would get an opportunity to review it at least twice a year, in case there were any issues that did come up. So this request is for January through June.
We have a veterans tax credit application in the orange folder as well. Everything was in order for that. All the paperwork was appropriate, so I see no issues with us signing off on that veterans credit application. We need to approve the meeting minutes, both public and non-public, for December 18th and the 28th.
So moved.
Second.
Any issues with any of those? I didn't see anything needed to be edited. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So at our last meeting, it wasn't televised. We had, and I had made some comments just kind of regarding to the town employees and folks, and Glenn had really suggested that I should make sure we say it on a televised event, and I did send an email. I had Susan forward an email to all the town employees, so I did just want to read this because it does mean a lot to me, the opportunity that I've had to work with all these employees in town, and it's been a difficult year. It's been a lot of crazy stuff going on. So I just wanted to read this into the record. I addressed it to Town of Kingston employees, department heads, committee members, volunteers, and elected officials. Thank you. I want to recognize the hard work and dedication of the Town of Kingston and those that make it happen. There is no doubt that ups and downs, budget issues, unexpected mid-cycle turnover of board members, and trying to keep up caused by inflation and state and federal policies that downshift additional burdens to our small town. The great work of the Town of Kingston, and it has been an absolute pleasure with you. My time on this board and serving in other capacities in town have been a privilege that I would have never had a chance to experience if I did not here to be a. I will be stepping down after the upcoming town election to focus on some professional needs, but I will sincerely miss my daily interactions with all of you. I have enjoyed all of it, the good stuff, the messy stuff, the difficult situations, and our ability to navigate tough issues and work to be very proud of the town of Kingston. We may have different views and perspectives on certain issues, but I firmly believe everyone that helps run this town deep down strives to do what is best for Kingston. While I cannot resist continuing to touch the hot stove myself, stay off. Social media is the sounding board for the uninvolved and uninformed who are always too busy to step up and do the job themselves. Thank you for you sincerely, Chris Bashaw, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Kingston, New Hampshire. And I really do mean it. Thank all of you, everyone from the employees to the volunteers to elected officials. It is amazing. We have a lot of great things going on in Kingston, and everyone should be proud of that.
Thank you for doing that on the record, because you did it when we were not on the record, and it needed to be said, so I appreciate you doing that in a public session.
With that being said, any other business before we move into some more non-public?
Request from Adam to, whether he could spend $30.
Oh, yes.
He's did a couple of things. Did you? Okay. Okay, there was, did you do the camera thing or no? It's here. That's the cameras.
Okay.
Reminded me that I forgot to do a PO, so I did that.
All right.
Yeah,
So
so
that
we
was one thing.
we do have a purchase order here for the cameras for the meetings. So there's new cameras and installation, some alternates, air media, wireless presentation system and install, as well as some other alternate parts for this. And to give an update on what's happened is that the system that we have in place that does the public broadcast, it was never really upgraded as years went on, and when we hit a point where we had to replace a component, it wasn't necessarily backwards compatible with our old equipment and some of the new equipment that had to get purchased, so then we find out we need another piece and another piece and another piece. And over the years, as we received all that money from Comcast, we used it to fund some other things in the town, and we didn't really reinvest back into the the broadcast infrastructure, and so there's a need to do this. So there's a request to do this purchase order from our remaining from our current balance of ARPA funds, which we are looking at doing HVAC and electrical upgrades in the town hall, but we are looking to spend $13,332 for these upgrades to make this available more easily accessible to the public again. And this would come out of ARPA funding. Our current balance in there is $322,119.97.
And I believe we had already said that we were going to do this.
Correct.
As a board, we agreed to do this.
Yep. And
So do you need a motion on the
I
specific
don't, we need to
amount?
have a motion, I just want, there have been some recent questions, people would like a status on the streaming services and stuff like that, so I just wanted to have an explanation there. We need to invest in this, I get it, not everybody wants to come here in person, but it is important if they can watch it live and or, watch it after the fact. So I appreciate Adam's work on getting through these problems and trying to get us up and running so we can be as accessible as possible.
And the other thing he was asking for was just, did he talk to you about the $30 thing? Okay.
He can get the $30 cord.
He didn't want to make that decision. You're welcome.
The man behind the curtain.
Yes.
Okay, with that said, any other board business before we move to non-public? Okay, with that, I take a motion to move us into, and just for the public's, the only other information we'll be taking up after the non-public is just whether or not to seal the meeting minutes from the non-public. So there are no other items on the agenda. So I'll take a motion to move us into non-public under RSA 91A3, Roman numeral 2, sections A and B.
So moved.
Second.
All right, roll call. Ellie? Lori?